Welcome to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's video, I will be talking about severe weather this week on a marginal scale here for the severe weather outlook, and also looking ahead to a winter storm in the Northeast, and also the longer range weather forecast through the end of April. I wanted to give a shout out here to Roy Ponder down in Dallas, Texas area here. You can visit www.ponderonweather.com. That is his website. And also he does have a YouTube page as well. Just look up here, Pow Ponder on Weather, and he is on there here as well. Now, getting into the Storm Prediction Center's Day 2 outlook here, you can see a outlook for severe weather as we head into tomorrow across the panhandle of Texas into far eastern New Mexico. A marginal risk zone from the Storm Prediction Center is placed around Lubbock, Texas, down toward Midland, Texas, and getting into far eastern portions of New Mexico as well. And this is here kind of mainly for a hail threat as we head into tomorrow afternoon and evening, as here the updrafts of these thunderstorms will be able to sustain themselves here during peak heating and produce some large to very large hail potential here in those areas with some supercellular structures. But the wind and tornado threat rather is actually rather low, less than 2% in those areas. Then as we head into the Day 3 categorical outlook, the Storm Prediction Center has portions of east central Oklahoma on up into southeastern portions of Kansas, western and southwestern Missouri, down into north and northeast Texas here, just northwest of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex here on our Wednesday. And then Tulsa getting down toward Oklahoma City, Fort Sill, Lawton, Oklahoma in play here, getting up toward Joplin, Missouri, just south of the Kansas City metro area here, getting in on a marginal risk for severe weather as we head into our Wednesday. Then looking even farther, no risk for severe weather at this time here on the Day 4 on Thursday, but then the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted a 15% or slight risk zone already on their Day 5 outlook here from western Iowa getting into southwestern Minnesota, southern and southeastern portions of South Dakota, much of east central Nebraska getting down into central and western Kansas. This does include Omaha, Nebraska, getting up towards the Sioux Falls area here and getting down into Lincoln, Nebraska here. Portions of southeastern South Dakota, like I said, and then getting down toward the Wichita and Topeka, Kansas areas as well. That is for Friday afternoon and Friday evening here, as a new storm system will be diving into the center of the country as we head toward next weekend. And also here wanted to show you the current alerts here the National Weather Service has across the country. Still the red flag warnings across the Four Corners region, with some ongoing wildfire concerns across those areas with the dry soils and the ongoing major drought across those areas. And then here the freeze warnings and also frost advisory potential here across Missouri, getting into south central Illinois, northeastern portions there of Kansas, where here some cooler temperatures are creating some freeze warnings for some of the here vegetation across those areas, some sensitive vegetation. And then the National Weather Services up here in the Northeast have issued here winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories for another snowstorm that is possible across those areas as we head into the middle and end of this week. And looking at here the maximum temperature forecast for today, cooler up across portions of the Great Lakes into the northeastern here regions, with a kind of a trough continuing across those regions here. Where have we heard that before, where the troughs continue to just here pummel portions of the upper Midwest, the northern plains, the Great Lakes, and then moving into the northeast here all April long. And that looks to continue here today, with much warmer temperatures across the southern half of the United States here down toward the Phoenix area here, approaching 100 degrees as we head into this afternoon. And then as we head into tonight, temperatures will cool down. The teens are expected up into portions of central and northern Minnesota, back into North Dakota, where areas kind of on average around 30 degrees here across much of the Northeast and into the upper Midwest and Great Lakes region. And then here's some warmer temperatures being found across portions of the here southern and southwestern part of the United States. Now, like I said, another snowstorm is likely across portions of the Northeast as we head into our Tuesday, and this is going to be evident here across much of the interior Northeast here, from portions of Pennsylvania getting into New York State, and then on up here into portions of the rest of the Northeast toward Vermont, New Hampshire, and portions here into northwestern Massachusetts with time. Some rainfall being found as we head into this evening, as we head down into the the Washington D.C. area, getting up toward New York City. Some general cold rains across those areas. But as you get more interior here to the northeast into portions of central and western Pennsylvania, southern and southwestern New York State, some wet snowfall will be flying here with temperatures marginal for snowfall, but some wet snow will be flying, and that will continue as we head into this evening here with some heavier snowfall rates picking up as we head into the evening, and then kind of peaking as we head into our tonight into the overnight hours and into early Tuesday with snowfall rates that could be approaching 1 inch per hour in spots here, especially across New York State, getting down to far northern and northeastern here Pennsylvania. And this storm will continue to lift up here through the northeast, bringing here multi-hazards of some heavy wet snow, some freezing rain, some sleet, and even here some just general rain and rumbles of thunder here as well on the southern side of this low pressure system here down toward the Cape Cod region. A couple of thunderstorms are possible, while the interior of the northeast here seeing some snowfall, and then some kind of lake effect snow will continue across portions here of the northeast as we head all the way through Tuesday afternoon into Wednesday morning, and that will continue to add to the totals. Here is the North American models here, general forecast of how much snow could be expected across the interior northeast. Much of New York State here, around 6 to 10 inches of snow can be expected. Some localized higher spots, especially if you can get some more lake effect snow in there, and then here kind of tailing down into portions of Pennsylvania and down the spine of the Appalachians could see some several inches of snow, 4 to 6 plus inches across those areas, especially as you get down here into northern and central portions of Pennsylvania, and then down the spine of the Appalachian Mountains there on the higher elevations could see up to about 6 or so inches of snow as well. Then let's go back here to the severe weather threat here for the Tuesday time frame as well. You can see today's severe weather risk. You can see some supercell thunderstorms here across portions of the panhandle of Texas, kind of congealing into a little bit of a Boeing segment here, but then they'll quickly fall apart as the heating in the atmosphere here goes down after sunset, and the air mass starts to stabilize here with the loss of the daytime heating, and storms will fall apart before they really ever get to the Dallas-Fort Worth area or into central Texas here for that matter. Maybe some outflow boundaries, so if you get down to the Fort Worth area toward Texas, the Dallas, Texas area, and maybe far southwestern portions here of Oklahoma. Don't be surprised if the winds do pick up here as we head into the Tuesday time frame here, as some of these storms could have the outflow boundaries that could push a lot of wind across these areas, kind of a cold pool aloft, if you will, across these areas. So as you see here, as we head into tomorrow afternoon, dew points will be rising in the low to mid 50s across the panhandle of Texas and even the far eastern portions there of New Mexico, and that will support the risk for a couple of isolated supercell thunderstorms, and a couple of these could produce some large hail, maybe some marginal wind, and here cannot rule out a very brief funnel cloud or a spin-up tornado, but the tornado risk and the wind risk in general are very low, kind of mainly focusing on the hail risk across the panhandle of Texas around the Lubbock area, down toward Midland and getting up here into southwestern portions of Oklahoma with time as well. And you can see that here, the CAPE values, the surface-based CAPE values, pretty much the most unstable here, convective available potential energy is here developing as we head into late tomorrow afternoon into the panhandle of Texas, far eastern New Mexico. Values on the order of 1,500 to 2,500 can be expected, especially across western and here northwest Texas here. So that will support some supercell thunderstorms, and here's some heavy rainfall, and also here's some frequent lightning with any of the stronger updrafts that do manage to develop. The supercell composite, not too impressive, but still some value showing up here, especially into western Texas and into the northwest side of Texas there as we head into tomorrow afternoon to support the threat of a couple supercell storms. The shear value is pretty impressive here across the panhandle of Texas into eastern and far eastern portions of New Mexico. Values on the order of 40 to 45 plus knots here, so some pretty decent westerlies coming in and intercepting here to kind of the instability and the boundary layer moisture in this area to kind of get these thunderstorms to grow in intensity into some very intense updrafts here for a time as we head into tomorrow afternoon. But like I said, as these translate to the east towards central Texas, they'll lose their oomph here as the daytime heating does start to wane toward tomorrow evening. Then looking here at the bigger picture, you can see that big spiraling low pressure system here across the northeast here with that snowstorm as we head towards the middle of this week, and then kind of general zonal flow aloft here across the rest of the United States here with troughs continuing here across the northern plains and the Great Lakes, but that will be replaced by a ridge starting to slowly develop across the southwestern United States. You can see southwesterly flow aloft will start to commence as we head toward late week, and another trough starting to dig down toward the California area. And that here will spell some welcome news for Northern California that has been drought stricken for so long. Much needed rainfall across northern and central California, getting into here portions of northwest Nevada, on up into Washington State, Oregon State. Some welcome news was a very impressive trough starts to dig down here into the western United States, and the decent ridge across the eastern two-thirds of the country with warming temperatures, and that will continue here. This trough will kind of take on a little bit of a negative tilt as we head towards the very late portion of this week into the early portion of the weekend here, and that will spell trouble for some potential severe weather across the middle of the country as we head toward the weekend. And then here a big low starts to develop, and a tightly wrapped low, stronger low is expected across the northern plains. On the backside, you can expect some heavier snowfall, mainly in the same areas potentially into South Dakota, maybe North Dakota, into Montana, and portions here of Wyoming of some heavier snowfall, some mixed precipitation, while on the warm side, on the eastern flank and southern flank of the storm system, we'll have a cold front here swinging in from the west and producing here some severe weather potential across the upper Midwest, down through the central and southern plains here with time as well. Now I'll show you that warm up here. Temperatures as we head into our late week into the Texas region, much of Texas here across the area there from the northern Texas panhandle all the way down here to the Mexican border, mainly in the 80s to even some lower middle 90s, especially as you get down to the Lubbock area, getting down here into portions of San Antonio, Austin, Texas. Temperatures may be approaching 90 here as we head toward late week, and that ridge will only expand and amplify as we head toward late week on Friday. 80s could be as far north as southern portions of Nebraska, maybe even some lower 80s found in central and northern portions of Missouri, and then that ridge will even amplify even further as we head in towards Saturday, and we could have 70-degree temperatures, low to mid 70s as far north as Minneapolis, St. Paul, Green Bay, Wisconsin, and into portions of central and northern Michigan as well. Chicago, mid 70s. And then as you get down here into Texas, once again, temperatures around the middle and upper 80s as well. So a very large warm sector here is expected with this next storm before that cold front kind of sags on through and brings still a much needed warm up to portions of the mid-Atlantic, the Ohio Valley, down through the southeast. Temperatures here into western Florida could be near 90 as well. Now looking at this further here with the boundary layer moisture, the dew point here will be rising as we head into Thursday time frame, with mid to upper 60 dew points here rising all the way up into Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, with even some lower 60 dew points into southern portions of Missouri, southeastern Kansas, and then this will continue, like I said, amplifying, pulling in all that warm, moist western Gulf of Mexico moisture here all the way up into the upper Midwest, the Central Plains, the Missouri Valley, the Tennessee Valley. And you can see here dew points rising maybe as far north as the Omaha area, Des Moines, Iowa, into the middle and upper 50s to the 60s here for dew points. So you can clearly see where that warm front will kind of extend here across central Illinois as we head toward the Friday afternoon time frame. Then that warm front will continue progressing to the north, and dew points all the way to near 60 degrees, potentially up to near the Minneapolis-St. Paul region as we head into Saturday afternoon near Green Bay, the Wisconsin Dells, getting back down here into portions of the central and southern plains. You can see where that dry line and cold front will be here with this next storm system across the central plains, where eastern Kansas could have upper 50 to low 60 degree dew points, and then you go to the western side of the state, dew points are in the teens and 20s, so a very sharp cutoff, and that will be the focal point for lift for those thunderstorms here as we head through time, and then that will kind of sag off to the east here as we head toward late in the weekend. Dew points still across the mid-Atlantic, the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, into the deep south here in the mid-south areas, into the 60s as well, with a continued severe potential as we head toward late week and maybe even to early next week as well here, even though it's not highlighted at this time. And then you can see here, this is kind of the jet stream here, how the shear will work in the atmosphere, kind of a zonal flow aloft here in the northern portions of the country right now, all that warm air to the south. That will continue all the way through late week, and then that trough will continue to push into the west coast, kind of taking on a little bit of a negative tilt a little bit as we head towards Friday, and then kind of broaden out a little bit as we head towards Saturday, but still to the east of that, some warm air, some moist air, and that could produce some severe weather in the middle of the country before that kind of moves slowly off to the east here on Sunday. And the jet stream intensifies a little bit on Sunday, so that could be a more interesting day for severe weather if we can overlap some instability, some moisture here, and some lift with that cold front here along with these westerlies and southwesterlies and the jet stream on Sunday. Weather Prediction Center, their day 3 excessive rainfall outlook does have a very small area here of marginal flash flooding potential of 5 to 10% across portions of far northwestern portions and northern portions here of California, far southwestern state here of Oregon. So some welcome news up there. When you see this here graphic with some flash flooding potential, that is definitely some good news on the fact that they're going to get some rainfall into California, but not so good news here when you have a really dry ground and some heavy rainfall bursts all at once. That does tend to produce some flash flooding here, so do want to be on the lookout for that. But some welcome news in the rainfall front here is definitely needed for those areas. Then looking here at the 7-day precipitation here, anomalies and how much rainfall we can expect for the next several days all the way through next Monday. And you can see the middle of the country where that severe weather and heavy rainfall potential will lie across the upper Midwest, the mid-Mississippi Valley down into the central and southern plains. Could have an additional 1 to 3+ inches across areas, especially if you can get a couple of rounds of thunderstorms. And then the backside of that here, some snowfall on up in the northern plains. Like I said, that welcome news of rainfall here into portions of the northern and central California, where several inches of rainfall are likely, even getting up here to the Pacific Northwestern states here towards portions here of Seattle, Portland, Oregon, getting down here into, like I said, central and northern California. Several inches on the order of 2 to 4+ inches can be expected across these areas here, and that's why the Weather Prediction Center has gone along and put a marginal risk for flash flooding out, because all this rainfall will be coming down on very dry ground in the drought areas. And you'll be seeing some runoff here with all that ground that can't take up all that water. The 6 to 10 day temperature outlook here from the Climate Prediction Center, you can see that ridge here is likely to continue pushing east here into the East Coast and the Mid-Atlantic and the Deep South as we head towards all the way through the end of April here pretty much, down through Wednesday, April 27th. Kind of a little bit of a trough elongation here across the northern plains, the Pacific Northwest, and then another ridge starting to form across the desert Southwest and Southern California here. But that will promote here drier than normal conditions likely across the desert Southwest, where areas here in the Midwest, the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, the middle Mississippi Valley down into the southern plains here could have above normal precipitation, and also above normal precipitation expected across the Pacific Northwest as well. Then looking even further here, the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. This goes all the way through Sunday, May 1st, the opening day or so of May, and another ridge will be here developing across the portions of the desert Southwest with much above average temperatures are possible, with much below to much below average temperatures here possible, if not likely, across the northern Great Lakes into the northern plains and nosing its way into the northeast and back further west here into the Pacific Northwest as well. And still continued dry weather through the opening day or so of May across the desert Southwest and into the Four Corners, and just generally most of the country here around normal precipitation. Some localized areas with above normal precipitation, like in the northern plains, the Pacific Northwest, and getting down into the southeast here, the southeast coast around the Carolinas here through the opening day or so of May. And then looking even beyond this here, beyond that time frame here, you can see toward the end of April, we got a lot more troughs continuing to dig down here and toward the central portions and the northern portions of the U.S., with that ridge continuing to push off to the east. And then another large amplifying ridge will continue to develop here across the western half of the United States toward the end of the month, with kind of a trough continuing into the northeast here. Once again, kind of the same type of pattern that we've been seeing all March and all April so far will continue across most of the United States. And then another trough will kind of dig down here and ending that ridge here, kind of cutting off that ridge, undercutting it here from the north and west as we head toward the very end of April. And temperatures in the Midwest and the Ohio Valley on up into the northern plains and Great Lakes could be on the order of 10 to 20 plus degrees below average as we head toward the end of April here. So the snowfall may not be done, unfortunately, for portions of the Great Lakes region on up to the northern plains and the portions of the Northeast, maybe even nosing its way down to the Midwest here toward the end of the month. So we will have to be watching that. So thank you for watching my video. I do appreciate you sticking with me here across this whole video. Do be sure to like my video and leave any of your comments and questions below. I'll be able to answer them. And do remember to subscribe to my channel here to catch the latest weather forecast updates here throughout the week and throughout the season here, as I'll keep you ahead of all of the storms and all of the weather events across the country. So thank you for watching and have a great Monday, everybody.